Right, hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics while I drive to work. I think it's only going to be a short one today. I think it's about 30 minutes. There is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about a lot of sensitive topics, things you don't really hear every day, but should be discussed about anyway. You know, because you don't know what someone's going through and it's probably best to talk about it, even if it's just to alleviate some stress, to feel like you can connect with someone, I think. A lot of people just sort of tend to suffer in silence and that's considered part of adulting, so not always helpful. I do swear a lot as well, because I know at this point, nearly 40, my mum's not going to turn up with a bottle full of liquid soap and wash my mouth out, so I enjoy saying the word fuck a lot, and shit. And I'm going to keep enjoying it because, you know, trauma. Anyway, and the perks of being a grown-up. Yes. So, the topic for today is anger. You know, if you listen to my other podcast, you'll know that I have it. I think most people have at this point. I mean, it's that dissatisfaction, it's conflict with ego versus whatever is going on in the external. We might have some kind of preconceived notion as to what things should be. If things don't go as we predicted or as we want them to, we tend to get angry, don't we? For example, I'm looking right now at the slowest delivery guy I've ever seen, who's taking fucking forever to get down the street. I'm not angry about that, but it is annoying. That, and I'm highly caffeinated, and right now my brain's going about 1 million miles a minute, and I'm expecting him to move faster. See, that internal ego telling me that I'm right, when realistically I'm probably not. Yeah, so angry. Everyone looks at anger, it's got some kind of stigma attached to it. I mean, it's only negative really if you use it destructively, but even having said that, destructive anger still has a constructive element to it. You might break something down in rage only to rebuild it. You might have a purposeful destructive element to that anger. Sorry, my start is kicking in something fierce already. It's Monday. I've never really viewed anger as a negative thing, besides the fact that I was raised by berserkers. If you listen to my other podcast, right at the start of my green list, I call it the green list because it's got a green background. It should still be on my channel, I hope, unless YouTube kicked me off. This is inappropriate, no shit. But it's reality, so we're going to talk about it, right? You listen to that podcast about berserkers, or my one on PTS, or there's a lot of little small stories interwoven in the whole fucking list, to be honest, so you'll get a glimpse of everything cyclically, I would assume by now, because I do tend to waffle on. You'll understand why I might have anger issues at this age, besides the normal post-30 anger issues that most people have. You know, it's you know, if you're raised in an anger-based environment, my parents were very frustrated in the way they went about. I think they bought into the dream that having kids would be a good idea and fun, or maybe they felt pressure to be, you know, passing on the next generation genetically. When it came to the reality of it, it was a lot of stress and a lot of stuff they just weren't mature emotionally for. Essentially, they're mentally teenagers raising kids. So, I mean, my mum was, oh Christ, what was she like? 28 when she had me. My dad was 30. So you look at them and you say, oh, they're old enough to know what they're doing, right? Nope. And I was the third one of 4, so I'm like, surely you've got experience from the first 2. Nope. And a lot of frustration in the circumstances as well, because my mum, for example, thought she's going to be a stay-at-home wife and she's going to be able to look after the kids. And I found out the other day that she actually wanted more than 4 kids, and I thought, you're fucking crazy. Why would you want? And she's like, I really wanted like half a dozen or so. I'm like, fucking insane. You couldn't handle 4. What were you doing with 6? You know, it blew my mind when she said that. I'm going, crazy. So what? 6? Are you mental? Given the circumstances we're existing under at the time, we had no money. My dad is in and out of work because he's got Peter Pan syndrome. She actually had to go back to uni to train to become a teacher herself so she could support the family. So she had the family, she had work as well. and my dad's useless ass, which was carrying in and out of jobs because he would quit every 2 years or something like that. As soon as he found work, he'd fuck it up because he'd get angry and take it out at work. And I remember one time she had to go get him from a job. He was employed by a very nice man, actually. He's an accountant. But he just flipped his fucking lid, and she had to go get him from work. She had 4 small kids at the time, so we got left with someone, I don't know who, and she had to physically go pick him up because he was too angry to drive home. And he wouldn't, I think something like he'd locked himself in his office and, you know, his mental breakdown shit, and she had to go fucking coax him out. And the boss was looking at her like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, I know, that's my dad. It's like, I don't fucking know either. So this is the fucker that raised me. So, you know, it might be that, you know, anger runs in my bloodline, possible. I mean, I've got a lot of women in my bloodline I know that are just anger issues. It could be a chemical thing, I don't know, but at the same time, it's given none of them really had stable environments in which they grew up or raised their own families, so it's passed on along the line of, you know, intergenerational trauma. Angry women raising angry kids to become angry women, essentially. Although we turned out all right, my generation has managed to calm that anger a bit more. My older sister was a bit more feistier in her 20s. She used to get into bar fights and shit. But I've been in a few not so great ones myself with a bunch of people who weren't very nice. But, you know, that wasn't a bar fight. Doesn't count. That was just guys being dicks. But, you know, my sister's still a bit fiery. My younger sister, that is. So, you know, all us girls are pretty fiery. My brother's got a temper, but he's like a sleeping bear. You can prod the fucker and prod him and prod him and prod him. It takes forever to break him. He doesn't have a hair trigger temper, but when he goes, he goes. And I've never really seen him angry. So, you know, he cracked at my mum one time, but that was because, you know, she's years of abusing him, and he finally told her to fuck off. I think he was a teenager at the time. He must have been about 16, 17, and she responded by cracking a giant novelty lollipop over his head. You know, those size of a dinner plate, and it had like a pole. And he told her to fuck off because he didn't want to get out of bed in time to go to school or something like that. And she just cracked him over the head with it. I think that gave him brain damage afterwards, actually, because, you know, he did brain scans later on, and he has like black marks on his brain. And I was sitting there thinking, was that mum or was that him? You know, because, yeah, it's interesting to think how much of that is environmental and how much of it is naturally occurring, damage-wise. I mean, I know I've got potentially a bit of brain damage because I was oxygen deprived as a baby, but, you know, it hasn't stopped me doing a shitload of weird stuff. Ooh, nice bike. Sorry. Someone was on a chopper back there. Ooh. I like bikes. Anyway, it's good living where I live because you get to see so many people turning up on motorbikes and stuff. You know, nearly had an accident the other day going around a roundabout and stuff. I got distracted by a Triumph. And I'm like, no. Shit. But, you know, I don't see anything particularly wrong with anger as long as it's not hurting anyone. I mean, I use my anger, and I do use a great deal of anger because I've had a lot of fucked up things happen. Rather than let it consume me, let me spiral into a negative, into, you know, the oblivions of hell, I would rather turn my hand to something that's more constructive. So if I get angry, I tend to transmute it into things like getting extra degrees, or, you know, buying a house, or, you know, going to the gym. I don't want it to be a destructive entity. I want it to be a constructive entity. Which is why I think I did so well when I separated from my ex-husband, because rather than, you know, just give up and whimper and roll over and die, which I think he would have got great satisfaction out of, because he's a bit of an arsehole. She's gonna die. I went the other way. I went completely constructivist, and I started thinking, what's missing? What do I want to do with my life, and how can I make this work? And I want to start going to the gym. I started doing yoga and Pilates again, and all these things I missed out of because I put my life aside, my identity aside, because I got married to this one person who I put first for fucking everything, and I never put myself first. So my anger from being rejected from him, because he did abandon me, that's unmistakably. And I'm not trying to play the victim here. It's like when someone leaves you, because they want to get their dick wet with someone else, it's a rejection, and it's a valid. You're allowed to feel like you got shat on with that. It's like, cheating is never acceptable, and it's never a mistake. So, you know, he made his choice. I got rejected, and that's fine, because what happened afterwards was that I didn't crumble. Well, I did a bit. I had to go to a psych, only because I didn't know what was going on. I got the autism, and I had to have things laid out and explained to me why things weren't working, and why I was reacting this way, and why my body was doing things, but my brain's like, we're fine. So that was enlightening. And you sort of carve your own path from there. It's a great medicine for understanding why you're doing what you're doing. Just going to a psych or a therapist or a counselor, or even just someone you can talk to, or your friend if you've got any. I didn't really have any friends at that time because my ex-husband had isolated me from them, and he didn't like my family either, so I isolated myself from my family. And you know, it's one of those people. I don't like them, so you're not hanging around them. So it was perfect for that kind of control and abuse situation where they can isolate you from anyone who might give you a different viewpoint of what you should be doing or how you should be reacting, because then they can just get into you to tell you who you are. It's not healthy. I would say there is another side to that coin where if your friends are openly abusive and enabling parts of you that are self-destructive, and your spouse or partner turns around and says, that's not good, you probably should listen, but in hindsight you need to be able to balance the two. It's like, find the medium ground. It's like, what is it about my friends that is making this an abusive situation, destructive situation? What is my partner trying to get out of this? Is it worth the risk to reward ratio? You know, all that kind of business. It's not just a case of, you said I have to, so I will. A lot of us are people pleasers, I think, in a horrible way, because we're trying to be nice, we're trying to do the right thing, and if I love you, yes, of course I'll give you whatever you want, and I do that all the time, and I'm completely guilty of it. I hate myself for it sometimes, but at the same time I'm going, yeah, I like being a nice person. But it's also, you know, Achilles' heel, because you'll find some exploitative asshole turn on you and say, I know you've got to be nice because you're a nice person, give me your shit. It's like, no, wait, that's not how it works. You're supposed to like me too. Yeah, I like you. Verbally. Anyway, you know, it's a bit dickish. And you can't peg it at first. And I'm terrible with social cues. I can't flirt for shit. I'm blank. It's like someone's sitting there going, ooh, and I'm like, what do you want? Like, I did that the other time when I was in that social group. I had some guy sitting there winking at me and rubbing his feet up against my leg, and I moved my leg. I'm going, ugh. And he's winking at me, and I'm sitting there thinking, is your girlfriend behind me? Because he had a girlfriend. I'm sitting there thinking, oh, he must be looking at his girlfriend or something behind me, because she was working at the time on her shift, and he was sitting near me, and it was just a little group, and I'm sitting there going, I don't understand what's going on, mate. You have a girlfriend. I don't get it. It's like, I am not a kind of flirtatious, seductive kind of person that's just like, oh yes, this is naughty, let's get involved. I'm sitting there thinking, I don't get it. Bit of a dumb blonde in that respect. You know, why are you doing that? And I'll spend like an hour going, what just happened? Why are we doing this? Can't cheat because I don't know how. You know, it's like, blank. I'm retarded. And I have a really strong moral background. I don't understand that whole thing where, you know, people get off on doing shit behind their spouse's back. I don't get it. It's like, why did you bother starting a relationship if you're just gonna fuck around behind their back? It doesn't make sense. It's like, why not just leave and then do what you want without feeling like shit afterwards for getting caught? It's weird. But then again, that's just, I suppose, the way I was raised. I mean, my parents, despite being incredibly fucking toxic together, as far as I know, were faithful. It just wasn't a thing. It's like, you don't cheat, even though the person drives you fucking nuts. You don't cheat, you don't leave. There's no such thing as divorce. You will take it and you will stay, and that is your version of love. Taking as much abuse as you can, and you keep coming back. It's a bit like that Rocky quote. It's how much pain you can take and keep getting up, keep moving forward. It's like, no, Sly. That's not how it works when it comes to love. If someone is abusing you, have every right to fucking leave and say, this is not my person, this is not a match, we have nothing in common, this person is actively trying to hurt me in order to get me to stay. You can leave. And some people will just, like me, for example, will take the small stuff at the start and it will just gradually snowball because you keep sweeping it under the rug. Thinking, well, I'm already invested in this, and we've been together this long, and we got a house together, and oh, but he's not really that bad, and you know, he's got some trauma himself, and oh, it's okay, and I want to just keep putting up with it, put up with it, and like at the end of my marriage, like the last couple of months of putting up with my ex-husband's shit, and then finally the coup de grace, the fucking ultimatum, if you've listened to the other ones, the ultimatums, the only one I couldn't give you. I was sitting there going, well, if he's still like this, even in my head, and I've written it down in my diaries, because I write diaries, weird that way, but I've been doing it since I was 12. I'm writing down, if he's still like this in 5 years, I'll leave. So I'd given myself the gap of 5 fucking years to put up with his shit, even though I knew at that point that I was not doing well. I'll give it another 5 years. It'll come right. We'll be together, you know, about 20 years at that point. Yeah, it'll be fine. It's like, no, jackass. And we keep sweeping it under the rug, saying it'll get better, it'll be alright, it'll be okay. They're just having a bad time. They're not really this person, it's just that they're stressed, or there's, you know, straw that broke camel's back was an ultimatum about having an open marriage, and I'm just, no. No. I will take you leaving little piles of toenails and used tissues and ice cream containers and dirty plates and shit. I'll put up with your arrogant shit in public. I'll put up with the fact that everything we do is you-based and makes you happy, and I don't really get a say because, you know, that's the way it's always been. I put up with that shit and a lot more. But when it comes to you trying to get me to be okay with you being unfaithful, fuck off. No. I don't have that problem with my self-esteem. I see unfaithful as unfaithful. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't try and reason it out that it's going to be okay because this is what he wants and I have to give him what he wants because I love him. And it's like, fuck off, mate. This is you being a selfish fuck. This is all the way you being a selfish fuck because I get fucking hurt for this. So you get your dick wet and you're happy for, what, a momentary lapse of orgasmic happiness, you know? Fuck off. How selfish can you be? So I'm going to throw away my future, I'm going to throw the woman I supposedly fucking love, our marriage, every part of history we've ever had, for the sake of getting my dick wet with some random that I barely know. It's like, you're a piece of shit, dude. You're a piece of shit. So that was, you know, that disrespect, and it is disrespect, and general meanness and selfishness contributed to my anger issues, and I already had a predisposition from my childhood being raised by berserkers for violence and anger and sorting shit out with physicality, you know. It's not a case of, all right, we're going to sit down and reason shit out. It's like, no, I'm going to fucking rip into you and I'm going to enjoy it too because it alleviates some of my fucking stress. It's crazy. There was no sense of mediation of the problem. How can we fix it? How do you feel? It was a case of, you're not doing what I want you to do, I'm going to beat the shit out of you till you do. And if you even look at me sideways in a threatening way as not doing what I want you to do, I'm going to hit you again. My parents were absolutists. You will do what you're told to do. Children to be seen and not heard. And I do wonder if that didn't contribute to my stutter, as you can tell. Had the smarts knocked out of me. That is apparently related to an anxiety issue as well. I had selective mutism growing up. I let my sister talk for me because of this. Even talking about it stresses me out, and you know, I can feel it. I can't get the words out. It drives me nuts. And it's all right when I'm with kids, funny enough, because I'm a teacher. I can go reels with kids. Kids, no problem. Adults, that's got to be some kind of conditioned response, I think, where it's being with adults and suddenly my stutter comes out or I can't talk. It's got to be some kind of residual trauma. Kids I'm fine with. I'll just go nuts with kids. They're fun. You can get away with. I'm a bad role model for kids. I am. I let them get away with murder because it's funny, and I want to give them the childhood I didn't have, and I want to give them like room to fail, and it's okay to fail, and it's okay to look silly, because when you're a kid, it's about the only time you can look silly and get away with it, because I was still learning, you know. So my methods are a bit free range when it comes to teaching, which pisses other teachers off, I can tell you. I know, because they walk into the room and the room's absolute chaos, and I'm like, yes, but at least they're engaged with the topic, they're actually enjoying themselves, they're having a riot, and they're just fucking enjoying themselves. They're being kids, man. But a lot of, like, at my last job, my last contract, I was doing Digitech, the other teachers started getting pissy because, well, I can assume it was because it wasn't that controlled, quiet room. We are learning, we are doing this, you will do this. It's like, I'm not inflicting that on kids, man. I'm not. Because they can learn while they be themselves as well. You know, don't put that sharpness to it. I don't like the constriction. I've seen some weird kids come through with overly controlling parents, and they're afraid to fail. It just gives them anxiety disorders. I mean, look at me, fuck's sake. My mum's, response to me failing was, you got whacked, or you got abused, or verbally abused by my dad, or some shit like that. It was always something where there was no room to fail, and so you couldn't even risk not giving it a go to get it going, What was that? And it creates a really tense kind of fear of failure and imposter syndrome, where you're like, I'm not even going to try, because what if I do, and then the consequences of me getting my ass beaten down. It's Pavlovian response. It just perpetuates already established anxiety that was there. It's crazy. It's like, why would you just not let them go free range? I mean, it's not going to be crazy, no one's going to get hurt, obviously, but the noise is going to be up there. They're going to be active, they're going to be a little bit excited and hyperactive. As long as the job gets done, I'm alright. I don't mind. I'm not going to cinch them into some horrible, fitted, corseted reality of what a child should be. I can't stand when kids get coached. I can't stand it. It's sickening to me. These kids that are, like child actors and Prince William's kids. I'm sorry, Will. Kids scare me, man. Like when the Queen died, and I think it was the Queen died, and then Charlotte started crying, but you looked at it, and she's sitting there rubbing her eyes, and I'm sitting there going, kids don't do that. They don't do that. But it was like forced, and you're sitting there going, you've taught her to do that. Someone's coached her to do that for the cameras, and I don't fucking like it. It's sickening to watch them, because they're not acting normally. And I say normally, there is no normal. They're not acting naturally, should we say. And you look at how they perform, because they're not behaving naturally. I don't know if they know what natural kids are in that area of, the establishment. It's like, you don't know what a natural kid does, do you? Because you've only ever seen pre-constructed realities of what kids should look like. It's a very biased reality they live in. No wonder they got no real relationship to the outside world. It's like, every time you turn, what was the Queen said one time, it's like, I like this, everywhere I go it smells like fresh paint. It's like, yeah, because you've never seen the dirty side of the world. You've never seen the bad shit. You've seen the pre-constructed, soft, best manners, well-dressed, Sunday best. Everybody wants to put on a good show because nothing can go wrong. It's like, so you're not used to anything going wrong. So Queen used to find it hilarious when something went wrong, and I don't blame her, because it's that anomaly, finally an anomaly, that's something different. The novelty of the situation. And I'm sitting there going, right on. Unfortunately, if you live in the real world, everything goes wrong, and the anomaly is when it goes right, and you're like, okay, nice. I planned for that to fail. Yee. And that's where you get overthinking. Thing is, you can't get angry with it. I mean, you might get frustrated because maybe you put a lot of work in. Like, I put a lot of work into my last term, well, actually my last year of doing Digitech. I put a lot of effort into. I had to pick up the slack from a guy called Ian, who's 1 billion years old, who didn't record anything, any activities he did with the kids. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck am I going to write reports on? Because there's nothing here. And I was picking up from another guy who was taking a work break or some shit, and he fucked over East and didn't really leave anything. He's left the notes, the grades for the year, and then you sit there having to negotiate with teachers who just don't want to give up the actual technology I needed to teach Digitech. It's like, because we booked them. It's like, I don't care. I need it for the actual topic. It's like me walking into your maths lesson and taking all the maths book and saying, I booked them. It's like fucking UN peacekeeping in that fucking school. It's like, anyway, I'm not going there because I'm still annoyed with that. But I don't want to rant on that. It seems impractical. If you know this person's going to need this to do this, then you help, don't you? You don't sit there and go, well, fuck you. Because we all got to work together. Weird. It's like we just, I'm not going there because I'm not in that school anymore. I'm like, fuck you guys, you're idiots. But you take that anger and you use it constructively. And right now I'm looking at that particular example and I'm saying, you know what? You're going to need me in about 6 months because you already were 3 teachers short at the start of last year. Ian, who is still there, even though he's 1 billion years old, doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know how iPads work, still has to do Digitech for the second half of the year, even if he does do normal tech for the first half. It's like, you're going to fucking need someone like me. And I'm just going to go, nope. Because I'm not sitting there stressing myself out with ungrateful people. That's the way you do it constructively. You don't get angry. You don't get bitter. Harder said than done. Easier said than done, I should say. You look at it as a learning experience. You say, okay, these are how these people are going to treat me and react. And why should I pour myself into a situation where I'm not appreciated? Even acknowledged as an asset, you know, it was a case of we've installed this teacher for this amount of time. At the end, fuck off. So I didn't even get a call back. I didn't get anything back. I put in my preferences saying I'd love to come back next year, do the same job. It'd be great. I love the stability. I love the classroom. I love the job. I love the content. And it got just ignored. And it's like, okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to keep going. You know? And that resilience comes with years of getting knocked on your ass. It's not just a case of I'm better than everyone and I'm going to keep going. It's a case of, all right, so shit happens, we keep moving. There will be other jobs, there'll be other people, there'll be more contracts. I don't have to deal with this. And you try and see the good in the situation. Don't just get angry and destroy everything. Don't burn your bridges, because I'm willing to go back there for relief. If there is a contract offered, I'm thinking about it. I like the stability, but at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, you know what, you treated me like shit, so I don't know. I'm going to play it by ear. Try and see the good in it. What did you learn from this? What did you get out of it? There's always a learning experience. Every instance where someone has pissed you off or fucked you over is a fucking learning experience, because if it's nothing else, you've learned that you're not going back to that. That's a fact. There are some schools I won't go back to just because they treat their staff so shittily. And I'm sitting there going, you don't even see us as human anymore at this point, because you just overload the fuck out of us. It's okay, they're fucking off tomorrow. It's like, well, actually, you need to borrow me, even if I am a fucking appliance, later on in the term. So you probably shouldn't be shitting on your own staff. I mean, don't you even remember the Peasants' Revolt? It's like, you just don't look at history before, do you? It's like, no, we're just going to shit on people and keep going. Be careful, mate. You might need to go down that ladder at some point and you just shout all along the rungs. There is something about that as a metaphor. Anyway, sorry, my coffee is still kicking in. You don't shit on the way up, because at some point you might have to go down again, is my point. Don't fuck people over when you might need them at some point. You just don't, and it's not a nice thing to do, is it? Really, it's not done. You horrible people. Why would you want to be seen as this horrible person? It's just not nice. It's not cricket. Don't be mean. And it makes you look bad anyway. I mean, if you blow up, like my dad used to blow up at a Hes Traeger. My mum was the same. I remember, like, I lit an incense stick, and this is the reason I moved out, because it was the first sign of physical abuse that I got from my dad. Like the first. I mean, he was never reliable. He was always a pain in the ass anyway. but I lit an incense stick from one end of the house to another, and there was a passageway down the middle. From the living room, which is right at the front of the house, he knew that I'd done it somehow, and he come racing up, and he's like 4 times my fucking weight, size. At the time I was wafer thin because I was anorexic and 16, and he come bounding up in a incredibly fucking threatening way, loudly up the passageway. I fucking heard him stomping up the thing, and he's sitting there, and he went to go punch me in the face, and I'm sitting there going, over lighting an incense stick at what, 50 feet away. You couldn't, how the fuck did you smell it for a start? I mean, it was that constant intimidation, threat to get what I want kind of thing. And that was the final straw, and that was the reason why I moved out and I signed on to Sync, and I said, I'm not fucking coming back. When you don't physically feel safe by your own parents, I mean, I didn't fucking feel safe anyway, but like physical stuff, it's one thing for my mum to be punching me. It's one thing. It's okay when she does it, but to be my dad, you know, threatening to do it, and you sit there and think, it's not okay that my mum was doing it either, I'm just saying. But I was used to it at that stage, you know, I was used to her smacking the fuck out of me. But with my dad, who is male, and we were raised the boys don't hit girls. Not that girls should be hitting boys anyway, because first of all, there's that sense of provoking them. It's like, why would you even? Why risk it? But at the same time, it's like, it's not a nice thing. It's not very ladylike. Don't do it. Later, I found out that sometimes you need to fucking smack a guy. But that's different. That was in self-defense, was it? I don't know. Good times. And that's why I don't drink. Anyway, one of the reasons. But, you know, you just sit there and think, I'm angry because this is what I was raised in. Do I want to become it? Do I think this has any value to my future? Is this going to promote any kind of stability or calmness in my future? Is this going to help any of my relationships or things I want to achieve in the future? It's like, why am I even thinking about doing this? It's like, and it slows you down and makes you think about, what is the purpose of my anger? Do I want to channel it into something more constructive, like getting a job? Or you know, going one better, or doing something like that. What is they used to say? Don't get angry, get even. Don't even do that. Go one better. You know, someone at the pub pisses you off, a bad service, go out and buy the pub and fire him. It's way more interesting, isn't it? You're just like, oh, okay, I was mean to them back. It's like, no, I'm gonna buy the pub and fucking fire you. I don't like you. It's more interesting, it's more constructive. I mean, don't get angry, don't make yourself look bad, don't lose face yourself. Just go and find a better way of dealing with your anger if you got the money. Some people have the money, I don't. I decided just to walk away. I tend to walk away. I'll take all my shit and just go. I don't give a fuck. I'm not getting angry over dumb shit. I've lived in chaos my entire fucking life. I'm not about it these days. I'm like, you want to be that? You do you, and fuck off. Because they want you. These angry people that kick off, they want you to participate in their little rage miasma. Because then you get angry, and anger feeds on anger, and it's like, they hit me, and it's like, well, you fucking hit them first. It's just crazy bullshit. And you sit there and think, it's not fucking worth it. Both of us look like tits for doing this. I don't want to be angry, quite frankly. It stresses me out, makes me feel yuck. This goes nowhere. Everybody's got black eyes because everybody's hit someone, and it's just fucking stupid. And some people love the drama that's associated with winding someone up. My fucking parents are still like that. They love the drama that comes from. That's why they sit there and they spread gossip about each other, and each other and my siblings. Sorry, my star's bad. See, I apologize. That's a trauma response. I'm always fucking saying sorry. Drives people nuts. But they love the drama, and I'm saying this is why I don't associate with you anymore, because you're constantly winding each other up, little fucking mind games, puppet master bullshit. And my granddad Bob was the same. And I'm sitting there going, oh, he's finally dead. Why are you carrying this on? It's because it's the only thing they know. They think they're smart by being this manipulative. You're not smart. You're being fucking stupid because you get abandoned, realistically. Because good people will only put up with so much shit before they go, fuck this, and leave. And they fucking should. So don't put up with that shit just because you want to be seen as a nice person. It's not worth it. But that point, you're just playing into the mind games. It's like you look bad by reacting when you snap. And you might snap once, but the thing to do is just not go back. And I'm just like, don't give them another chance to make you fucking snap again, because it makes you look bad, it makes you feel like shit. And then you blame yourself for their fucking anger and their fucking provoking. Not worth it. They're assholes anyway, fuck them. We gotta learn to say that more often, right? Remember, say it with me. Fuck them. I'm gonna have to leave it there. I'm just saying that if you do get angry, try and find a better way of dealing with it. Don't just knee-jerk reaction into, you know, assault charges and possibly running someone over with your car. It's not constructive. Doesn't make you look good. Not that you really need anyone else's approval, but inside it will make you feel like shit. You don't need to do that. I want you to have a good Monday, a great Monday if you can. I'm going to go raid the staff room, see what snacks are lying around. And I'm hoping the rest of the day, or the rest of the week as well, is going to be as easy as this drive to work, quite frankly, because that was pretty chill. And I'll see you later.